Okay, hello everybody, and hi to everybody watching on the replay. So for this workout, you will need a thick book. That's the only piece of equipment that we need today. I've just nicked this one from inside the house, as my husband was going, "What are you doing with my book?" I was like, "Oh, nothing." We don't need it yet, but we will eventually for the squat and the push-up variations that we're going to do. But as always with these classes, making sure that you rest when you need to, not when I say. Reduce the range of motion or take a modification that suits your body and where you're at today. And make sure you choose a rep range that is reflective of how much you can do or how far you want to push yourself. So we're going to work with a rep range between 4 and 6 for push-up variations, and we're going to go 4 and 6 or 6 to 8 on some of the leg movements that we're going to do. So just picking a number that is right for you, moving as fast or as slow as you can, as what feels good. So grab yourself a drink of water, make sure that's nice and close to you and that you've got enough space on the floor. You're not going to kick anything over. There will be a few options where you might want to set up next to a sturdy piece of furniture as well. So I'm just going to grab my chair and put that over here where you can see. And if you are using any furniture to steady yourself, just make sure that it's not going to slide around anywhere. And same with if you've got nothing on your feet, just make sure you're not going to go off sliding. So if you're on a laminate floor, it might be better to take your socks off and then worry about that later. I'm going to pop a little playlist on, just so that no one's hearing me breathing uncomfortably while we're doing push-ups, which always happens. And we're going to start off. Yeah, you probably can't hear it that well, but it's just, again, just better than listening to me like going in certain things. We're going to start off with a squat. So just feet under hips, a good chance to practice that range of motion. So just squatting down to where feels comfortable for you. So that could be here, or that could be here, or if you'd like to, for now, you could just squat yourself down onto a chair or on the sofa, just as you're getting eased into things. And then we're going to mix up that squat in a second, but just a couple more to get us going. Hands can do whatever you want. Some people like to put them on their hips. Mine just always do come together in the middle. That's it. Okay, on this next one, we're going to lean it into the right hip. So all that force then is going through the right leg. And then we're going to go other side. Squat and lean into the left. And swap again. So we're just leaning into one side of the glute and then the other. And that's just a chance to feel what's going on. How different does it feel? Can you feel more glute or more quad? Everyone's going to be slightly different. If you can't feel anything, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean the muscles aren't working. So everybody experiences it a little bit different. Okay, now we're going to go with what I call a squelbo, which is like a squat elbow. So we're taking opposite elbow to opposite knee as we squat down and alternating. So just getting the body ready for what we're going to be doing with it. But yeah, I just like saying squelbo. I think as most of us know right now, I just like to make up weird names for exercises. So just rotating through. We'll do a couple more. Again, just taking it easy because we're just getting started. Lovely, one more of each. Perfect, relax it there. So we're going to do a little hamstring move just to get that part of the body primed up as well. We're going to reach forward, just like a toe reach. So just reaching towards the toes and then standing back up nice and tall, like that. Again, just thinking about what you can notice in the body. Does anything feel tight? Okay, we're going to now take a step forward. So step that right leg forward and again reach down and then bring it back. Other side. Step forward and just reaching down towards the toe. Remembering that range, so it might feel good to just come to here. Like that. But I've already done a session with a client this morning, so I'm already feeling a little bit loose. All right, one more of each. And now you're going to take a wider stance, so not too wide. Again, we're only getting eased in. It's early in the morning. So a little bit wider than you were standing before. And you can point your toes out if that feels good. I always feel a bit weird if I do a wide stance and I don't point my feet out, but it doesn't matter if that doesn't feel right for you. We're going to reach down straight in front of us and then standing nice and tall. So if we were stood on a clock, we'd be reaching down towards 12 o'clock. And we're pushing the hips back the other way. So the hips are running away from the hands. So one more. And then we're going to be reaching round to where 3 o'clock is. So over that right foot, rotating round and reaching down. Again, just letting the hips or the knees do whatever they want to do so that you can rotate round over that foot. That's going to look slightly different on everyone. But rotating in the torso, just hitting that hamstring differently on that right side. One more, and then we're going all the way around over the left foot. Standing tall in between. Make sure you're breathing, don't hold it in. Okay, just priming that hamstring. It's going to work hard for us today. Lovely, one more. And we're going to come down to the floor next. So we're going to start to warm those shoulders and the chest up, ready for those push-ups. So coming down to the floor, we're going to go down dog. So again, just stretching the hamstrings even more. Into a high plank, so I'll demo one, and then we can do it all together. So we're going to set up in downward dog. So that's pushing back so that you can feel the hamstrings, even work those heels if it feels good. Then pushing forward into that high plank, and then you're going to let the hips sink down and have a lovely little stretch here, which is cobra in yoga, I believe. And then tuck the toes back into that down dog and repeat that sequence again. So we're going to go around 3 or 4 rounds through. Again, do as many or as few as you like. Quite a full-on one because your head's sort of pointing down, get a bit of a head rush. So have a little break in between if it feels better. 3 or 4 rounds through, and then that's our little warm-up done. So pushing back into down dog. Keep the knees bent if that feels better. I quite like to just work mine through. And then coming into that high plank and just really gently lowering those hips, untuck the toes if that feels better. Just hanging out here a second, letting that low back get a little stretch. And then starting again, pushing back. Working them heels. Back into that plank, let that slowly sink down. And if it feels good, just do a few rocks here. Just get them wrists ready. Breathe in, don't hold that breath in. And there's no right or wrong here, so if you want to move the hips around, see how that feels, go for it. Again, here, if you don't want to walk the heels, Maybe see what it feels like just to lean left and right. And then last time through, gently bring the hips down. Abdominals are nice and lengthened. Feels good. All right, little break. We should be all feeling warmed up now. Grab yourselves a drink. And we need our book. So popping that book down. And I've just placed it in front of my left foot because we're going to do a squat on it. So if I take that little step forward now, my left foot is on there, but I'm in my normal squat stance. So nothing's different with my feet. I'm just going to have to put that on Do Not Disturb. Because it's notifications from all the baby monitors in the house keep coming up and stopping the music. So what we're going to do, I'll just demo, and then we'll all go together. We're going to squat down, and then the foot that isn't on the book is going to go out and back in, and then we're going to stand. So we're in that squat the whole time that foot is moving, so we're staying low, and then coming back up. This raised foot is just going to get slightly more flexion at the ankle, knee, and hip. So we're forcing it into that more flexed position, while this one is going to be getting a little bit of ground force reaction because it's got to land and decelerate that movement. So that's the fancy explanation. What you might notice is that it's a lot of glute, a lot for the ankle. That's where you might feel it. So we're going to go 4 to 6 on each leg, starting with this left leg. No, that is my right leg. Starting with my right leg moving, first of all, and then we're going to swap over. So taking your time and ready whenever you are. So squatting down, moving that foot out and in, and standing nice and tall in between. Perfect. I'm sure you all look absolutely fabulous. I'm going to try really hard to count my reps because I always lose count if I'm talking. Lovely, that's fine. We're going one more. And just take your time with it. Lovely. And relax. Swap that book over. Now my right leg's going to get some forced flexion. And again, 4 to 6 on this leg. Squatting down, staying low as that foot moves and moves back. And it only has to be tiny. It's not going really far. It's not a jump. It's just a step back. Try and notice what's happening in that quad. Where could you feel it the most? Or can you feel it more in the glute? Lovely. Breathing. And what's sneaky is this ankle's getting a lot more flexion in it than it would normally, but I'm not really paying attention to that leg because I'm worrying more about that one moving, and that's why it's sneaky. Lovely, relax it there. And just pop that book out of the way. Okay, back to those hamstrings. We're going to take a staggered stance. So that is just sliding one foot back. A bit like you're about to moonwalk away, but you're just doing it after one step. So it's not a big step back, it's just a little slide up onto the toe. So I've slid my left leg back, which means my right hamstring is going to be working harder. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to point that toe in. So it was facing you guys, and now I'm just going to turn it. So just mixing the joint angle up, and we're going to reach down to the floor, as we always do, but just noticing how that feels different now that we've taken the toe to the side, inwards. 4 to 6, just reaching down with the right arm and standing up nice and tall in between. Starting whenever you're ready. Keeping that other leg up on the toe. So I feel this more now on that inside of my hamstring, so running more down this bit here. Lovely. Breathing and reaching down. 4 to 6, and then we're swapping sides. Lovely. I'm going one more. Nice. Okay. Relax that down. Other side. Right leg sliding back. Left toe going in. Reaching down. Left arm. 4 to 6. Standing nice and tall in between. If you need to have a little moment before you go into the next rep, please do. Awesome. Towards the end, we're going to do a bit of ground force reaction with a hamstring as well, which felt really like a bit wow yesterday when I was planning this class, and I've never done it before. So I'm excited about that. Now I'm going to go one more. Awesome. Relax it there. So we're going to go with our book again for our push-ups. Now, everyone to be doing push-ups on the floor. So your options are either in a box position, so knees straight under the hips, bend the elbow to bring the chest down, or knees out a little bit more, bend the elbows like that, or in a full push-up position. I'm going to be going on knees. It's been ages since I've done push-ups this intensely, and we've got a lot to get through. So I'm going to go on knees just to see how it feels. If you also can't get the range in, this is a perfect chance for you to reduce that range to make this work for you. So in your push-up, if you get to a point where you feel like you can't go any further, push back up. That's your push-up. Elbows bent, and then they straighten. That is a push-up. Okay? So with the book, we're going to place that book slightly wider than where we set up our hands. So my hands are underneath my shoulders at the minute, and then I'm going to do my push-up, and when I get to the top, I'm going to move my right hand and just slap the book. And this is all about timing. So what I really want is, as soon as I straighten my elbows, to tap that book. Trying to make it instantaneous, if I can even speak, as soon as we arrive at the top, touching that book. Going for 4 to 6, right hand, and then we're going to swap hands over. Okay, so choosing your push-up variation, taking yourself down as low as you can, and then pop onto that book, and then reset for your next one. Taking your time. If you need to have a little rest between reps, please do. I'm so glad I started on my knees. Arms are instantly fatigued. Stop when you've hit the rep range that feels good for you. We will have a little break before we swap arms. Lovely, that's my 6 done. Bringing the knees under just to chill out a little bit on the floor. Move that book over. And then we're going to go left hand, slapping that book. The book slap push-up, there you go. If you need to tell anybody what you did today, oh, I did some book slap push-ups. They're your words. Okay, setting up, getting ready. And again, if you now feel tired, this is another chance to reduce that range, because fatigue plays a huge part in how we can exercise, how we can execute a movement. So as you get more fatigued, you might need to take more range out of it, and that is completely normal. So here we go, left hand, slapping that book. Lovely, I think I've got 2 left. I'm going to go with 2. Getting a bit slower upon the return. Awesome. I already feel triceps getting very hot. Okay, so we need the book for the squats, so let's keep that with us. So this time, we're going to do exactly what we did with those push-ups. I'm going to set my book up next to my right leg. I'm going to squat down, and in this squat, I'm going to go book, floor, and then stand back up. So it's just reversing what we did. Now, this leg that's getting more flexion has also got to decelerate that movement. Left leg's just lapping, going, I'm not working that hard. All right leg, doing all the work. 4 to 6 on this leg, and then stopping over. Here we go. Squatting down. And back. So this is a book stamp squat. There we go. Stamp on the book. I think my husband would be mortified knowing what his book was being subjected to right now. Notice how I didn't take one of my own books. And I've actually got plenty that I can take him. Lovely. 4 to 6, choosing that rep range. One more for me. Nice. Little rest and then swap that over. And just really taking a minute, well, not a minute, that'd be too long. Taking a second when that foot is on there to really lean into that foot before it comes back down and just seeing how that feels. Like, what do you notice in your body when that's happening? Okay, 4 to 6 on this leg. And taking your time, staying low until that foot has returned. Breathing, don't hold it in. Quads are definitely getting some heat now. Nice. Rest it there. I'm just going to grab a quick drink. So we're back to those hamstrings. I feel like this combination of movements is really nice because the quads and the squats are quite hard work. The push-ups are quite hard work. But in the middle, we've got something that's just stretchy, gives us a chance to just breathe a little bit. I'm just going to move my book out of the way. So we're going exactly the same. Sliding one foot back. Right leg, instead of toe going in, going to poke it out. Again, just changing that joint angle, just to hit the hamstring slightly differently. 4 to 6. If you feel wobbly like this, which I imagine that some of you do, if you just take that back foot out, so you widen that base of support, that will help you stop feeling as wobbly. But you might not, you might be fine. Right arm reaching down towards the right toe, 4 to 6, and then stopping sides. Reaching down, and then standing nice and tall. Keep those knees soft. If you were locking it out, it wouldn't matter. So yeah, just has that feeling change slightly to what you can feel, or your hamstring might just be screaming at you so loudly that it just feels the same. Lovely, one more. And then swapping sides. Taking that right foot back, left toe pointing out. Left hand is going to reach down. Taking it nice and slow. What can you feel? What can you notice? Get some body appreciation going at how amazing it is that when we change up a movement, it just feels ever so slightly different. And that's really cool. Okay, I'm going to go one more because I've lost count as always. I'm sure people feel like I'm a broken record going to say that, but just relax it there. We're going back down to the ground for those push-ups. We need that book again. So we're doing the same as the squat, but in reverse almost, because we're going to start with one hand on the book, like this. And that's going to be slightly wider. So if my hands were here under my shoulder, my book's just slightly wider, but I'm going to start here. So my right hand is on that book, and it's going to be exactly the same. Once I get to the top, I'm going to bring that hand back on here. And then, as I descend, I'm going to put it on and take it off. So there's a lot more movement in that hand than before. So it's going on, off, on, off. Trying to get that well timed. So as soon as my elbows are about to bend, I'm going to drop in and then bring it off. Okay? 4 to 6 on this side, little break in between, and then we're going to swap it over. Choosing whichever push-up position feels good for you. Aiming that chest down towards the floor. Oh, I've almost forgot what I was doing. On the book and off it. There we go. Lovely. Rest when you've done your reps. And this is having exactly the same effect on the upper body as it is on the squats. One arm is being forced into increased flexion. It's also got to decelerate that movement when you move the hands. So it's just making the muscles react in a slightly different way, which is how we create a very strong and skilled and bendy body, hence the name of the class. Okay, so when you're ready to go, setting that book up on the other side. Again, hands under shoulders. I notice a lot of people when they do push-ups, they sometimes like have their hands almost like hooves on the ground. Spread your fingers out, because again, that's just going to widen your base of support. Don't do hoop push-ups, although I might have to invent that as a variation now. Nice wide hands, moving that hand onto the book and on. Oh, I blasted through them just to get them done. They're very difficult. Awesome. Have a little relax. And we are back to our squat. We don't need the book this time. So in the last one, in the last class, if you came, we were doing skater squats. And this time, with our skater squat, we're going to try and aim the other knee all the way to the ground. This is where you might need your chair. So with our skater squat, one leg just goes out the back, and then the leg is standing on bends as much as it can. If it feels really wobbly, here's what we do. We put the back toe down. It's not taking any weight in this movement. It's just like when you've got a kickstand on a bike. It's just stopping you from falling over. I can also place a hand on my chair to steady myself. And what we're going to do is we're going to relax back all the way onto that leg. And then we're going to drive ourselves forward and try and stand up on that one leg. So the chair and bringing the foot down are going to help you. If you're worried about plonking that knee straight down on the ground, get a little cushion or an exercise mat rolled up and just place it under the knee. So I'm going to demonstrate one more time. So we're going to go 4 to 6 on right leg. This is what we're aiming for. Left leg comes out the back. Right leg bends. Aiming to put that left knee down. I'm going to sit all the way back on my heel, and then I'm going to drive forward and try and stand up on one leg. So I'm using a bit of momentum to get myself off the ground. I've got my chair to help me in case I wobble. And if I'm finding it difficult, I can place that toe down just to catch me. But this leg is still doing all of the work. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I sometimes worry that I've not explained things very well. 4 to 6 on the right leg, a little break, and then we're going to swap over. We are nearly getting towards the end. We've already done so much. So this is like the last little quad killer. Just before we go, break for balance. Great if you want to be one of them funky old people that is really good at staying upright and can get up off the floor without any help, even on one leg. I mean, what a show off would you be if you were an old person who got off the floor with one leg? So here we go, look at my waffle, squatting down that one leg, trying to float that knee all the way to the ground, sitting back, and then trying to come up on one leg. If you have a little wobble, don't worry, just accept it and move on. A lot of work. Take your time in between. There's no rush to complete them, she said, after just rushing all of them push-ups. I think I've got one more. Awesome, little rest in between. Now, don't be surprised if one leg outperforms the other. I mention this in nearly every class because it's something that people get really worried about, but it's normal. We've always got one side of the body that prefers certain movements than the other. Right, I am not expecting big things from my left leg. It doesn't like to balance, but we'll see how we get on. Switching legs, this is why I'm going to make sure I stand a bit closer to my chair. That was a very tricky one. You can always tell when I'm finding something difficult because I just go silent, which doesn't happen very often in the classes, does it? Normally just talking around over waffle. But if I go silent, because it needs the concentration, I'm going to go for two more. This one has produced a rather sweaty upper lip. Oh, lots of work for the feet, for the knees, for the hips. Amazing. Okay, two left. Two movements left. The last one is going to be more of like the first thing we did with the cobra and the plank, just to get everything stretched and a chance to just wind down at the end. So this is our hamstring movement that takes advantage of slowing things down as it hits the floor. So we're setting up in that staggered stance. Again, I've got my left foot at the front, and now I'm going to reach down, and while I'm down here, I'm going to stay here, and like the squat, I'm going to move my foot out and in, and then I'm going to stand up. So I'll do that again, reaching down, out, in, and up. And I'm going to try and go for speed so that my hamstring has got to decelerate that twice before I stand back up again. And I'm going to go for 8, as fast as I can. Last little push before we wind down, getting that hamstring to decelerate everything. Here we go. So down, move, move, and up. And then repeat. Keeping that hand pointing down. Again, I can't count. This is the last one for me. And then I'm going to swap sides. So taking that other foot back, reaching down with that right hand, foot's going to move in and out. And then I'm going to stand. That hamstring, after everything we've done to it, is now going to be really happy with that change and ready for that little bit of extra work. I mean, this is practically cardio. As cardio as you get with me, apart from if I'm doing a run, which I can't avoid cardio. This is about as hard as I work in a class. And it's just moving that foot a little bit. I did that one completely wrong. One more. Oh, and rest it there. Hamstring loves to be bouncy. That's why I think it's good to give it a little bit of a movement instead of just keeping on stretching it. So, to finish off, how are we for time? Oh, perfect. Either stick with what we did at the start, where you took yourself from a downward dog into a high plank, into a cobra, see my hands and my body, or this, where we're adding in a little eccentric push-up first. So choose your devil, as it were. So we can go with this instead. Downward dog, into high plank, and then a controlled lower to the floor, and then push up into that cobra before pushing back into downward dog. So choose whichever one you want to finish off on. You could start by doing a couple of that controlled float to the floor and then take it out, or you could do it with all 4 rounds. So just 4 rounds and then we're all done, and you get to be them smug people who exercise on a Saturday morning before doing anything else for the day. Here we go. Downward dog. Work those heels or rock side to side if it feels good. High plank. Bend the elbows to control all the way to the ground. And then push up here. And then start again. Just 4 times through, having a little rest between flows, if that feels better. And if you're on your last one, this time when you push back, keep the knees down and just offer yourself a little child's pose for a second or two, just to let the back flex out of that extension. Have a little wiggle in the shoulders. And when you're ready, you can emerge from that position. Absolutely, really well done to everybody who got through that. That was quite a good one, I thought. But then I am biased in my own recordings. I'm going to stop record. Say goodbye to anybody who is watching on the replay.